Hello everybody. This is going to be a bit of a different video that I put together. It's going to be a review and stats of Sorcery Con from the 16th weekend of February. Um, First off, I'd like to say thanks to Floating Skull for organizing and running the event and providing me with all the data that I'm going to show you today. And if there are any suggestions for future decks anybody would like me to play, leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to see what I can do. Moving on to the top 8 decks of Sorcery Con. 8th place is Surprises Damage, a fun Pathfinder deck with seems to be built off of a similar idea of Jew's Warpath deck with Fire and Earth, using Unicorn and Violence to get early damage in, Kobolds for creature removal, Root Spiders is just good, disabling minions and causing enemies to move around them is pretty good. Craterize for finishers, I guess. Infiltrate has been proven to be just one of the best 4 drops you can play in Fire. Firebolts and Common Sense, just good spells, cheap spells. Mana base, same. Free City and Crossroads is a highly Crossroads, I think, it's a very debated card in a Pathfinder deck, just because maybe you'd rather have it be a fire site or an earth site. But with the current card pool and having to have unique sites, this is a pretty good standard Pathfinder site package. Moving on to 7th place, Mr. Wiggles Death Speaker with Summoning Sphere and drums is a bit of a different include for Death Speaker. Princess Wizards for drawing cards, Grandmaster Wizard, Ruler Thule is a good splash, especially with the 3 Floodplain giving you 2 Water Threshold. Poison Nova seems a little redundant with Poison Nova and Drums and Doom, but 7th place is pretty good. In Marcus I Trust is the 6th place. Another Pathfinder deck, one of the 2 of the top 8. Big Ignis, Philosopher's Stone, Gilded Aegis is a card you don't see very often. And Magellan's Globe with Pathfinders always ends up wacky board states. Pit Vipers for the early game. Grim Reaper and Grapple Shot is a punishing combo. Grandmaster Wizard for more card draw. Pathfinder already has a lot of card advantage in the early game, so maybe to help close out some games. Death Dealer for a bit of a control and reset. The most interesting part of this deck, I think, is the Scorched Earth and Roots of Yggdrasil. Scorched Earthing and Roots in a Pathfinder deck allows you to rebuild much faster than your opponent, and if you can get the combo off, I think you're a pretty good favorite there. 5th place, Rune's Death Speaker by Alex West. Jihad and Summoning Sphere to summon your minions in unpredictable places is pretty good. Angel's Egg for the just sustain. If you have a longer game, this gets better and better. Violent is creature removal. It's really good to have a creature and remove a creature. You're up a card almost. Highland Princess and Death Speaker is ridiculous with being able to get a stone, and then if it dies, get another stone. You can have all your artifacts almost every game if you get Highland Princess. Pilgrim to draw more cards. Grandmaster Wizard drawing more cards. Pact with the Devil and Grandmaster Wizard on the Geistwood is the best card draw combo in the game. So, good Death Speaker list. Another Death Speaker, Smorehead, 1993. Summoning Sphere, all the cores and eggs. Pendulum Apparel is a unique include. You got the Nimbus Djinn combo with Grandmaster Wizard, Summoning Sphere, Land Surveyor for early game chump blockers, Apprentice Wizard. A much cleaner list than some of the other Death Speakers, and Divine Healing for just keeping that game going. And Roots and Scorched Earth, I guess that's a pretty good combo. Top 4. Nice job, Smorehead. 3rd place, Death by Brandon 1. Another Death Speaker list. Death Speaker, when we get into the stats, was one of the higher played avatars, so makes sense to see it in the top 8 multiple times. Summoning Sphere, Jihad, Thunderstorm, good control auras. Minions, Highland Fedicone to get 2 bodies for 2 mana is above rate. Violent is probably one of the best creature removal bodies. Grandmaster Wizard more card draw. Uh, in, with Sorcery being where it is right now, Grandmaster Wizard makes a lot of sense. Nimbus Djinn combo. Second place, Mono Air by Fifth Click. Pretty interesting list. I'm gonna guess the air movements on Avatar of Air, pushing your minions around, attacking unpredictably, is what drove a lot of the success with this deck. It's pretty hard to play around if you don't practice against it. Phase Assassin for that free 3 damage at least once. Hounds is just really hard to kill. You can't bury it, you can't submerge, you have to damage it. Bats for the Highland Falconer. Good air list. And top place at Sorcery Con by Dead Man. Let Sleeping Giants Lie. This is a very popular aggro sorcerer list with boss trolls and bioimps for the early game, dragonets and kobolds for ping damage, fighters for control and nullifying minions, slumbering giantess and kobolds or some of the deserts. 3 mana for a 5-power minion. You have to answer the threat or else it's going to run over you. Cavalry's charge is really good, just taking that response from your opponent away and you just attack for 3, and maybe it's a removal spell too where you can attack a 2-power minion. Firebolts for some removal, maybe finishers. Earthquake for rearranging the sites and just wiping out your opponent's minions. Flame Wave for the last hit if you're just in an awkward spot, just because it avoids the projectile. Solid sorcerer aggro list. And moving on to a bit of a, maybe I think it's pretty cool looking at numbers. But I will have all of the deck lists, links to Curiosa in the description, so check that out. On the left here, we have the popular cards for all of the deck in Sorcery Con that were submitted. On the right here is top 8. So we can look at the comparison of what maybe not so much the most popular card is, but what gets to the top 8 the most, I think is a pretty good metric. The top card by percentage of decks running at least 1 copy. We'll see Dark Tower, Gothic Tower, Lone Tower, all in the top, and this was a very common theme with the last time I did some stats. The mana ramp these provide is too good not to play. Philosopher's Stone up here, obviously, it's just the discount is huge. And where it gets a little different is the magic spells in the top 8 is Bury and Firebolts, whereas in the general populace, the top magic spells are Blink and Lightning Bolt. And Bury is still popular here, but it's not as popular. Bury is just a premium removal. It just removes things. 1 card will take care of most minions. Lightning Bolt and Firebolt are very similar, but the key difference here, I think, is that Firebolt is a little more flexible in where you can deal with a 1-power minion and then have that not waste that extra 2 damage. Lightning Bolt is still a very good removal spell, but Firebolts might be that just a little more flexible in helping it to get to top 8. If we see the most popular artifacts for each, we're going to see the cores up here at the top. Philosopher's Stone, Amethyst, Aquamarine Core, makes sense. But over here on the top 8, maybe the cores aren't as necessary because we have Drums of Doom appearing in 3 of the 8 decks. Onyx Core and Angel's Egg up here higher, with Angel's Egg being all the way down here at the bottom. Angel's Egg will gain more life over a long game than most anything else will, and really removes that chip damage a lot of aggro decks use to do the 1 or 2 hits of damage throughout the early game to get the opponent down to 10 to 15, maybe 13, and then having beggar minions to finish it off. Removing that first 5 to 7 damage is a huge benefit in providing games to go longer. And then, so another interesting fact here is if we just look at the elite um, artifacts, we'll see one deck with some mixed Ignis in the top 8, whereas their 12% and 8% mixes in the general populace. I think the key here is that mixes are good explosive turns, but they are card disadvantage. If the minion you use to cast it with gets removed immediately, you are down a minion and a card, whereas they are down one removal card. In the long game, just the mixes in general, might be a detrimental to the whole game plan. Maybe taking an extra turn to play an extra site will allow more consistent games. Change is a fun card to play, but it being symmetrical hurts you as well, so you don't see that in the top 8. And the other 3 mixes here on the top 8 are not played at all. Auras being played in the top 8, Summoning Sphere with the Death Speaker lists, and Atlantean Fate on the popular side. It is probably the best water spell, but without any water decks in the top 8, it kind of fell off. Water is probably the weakest of the 4 elements currently. Then you have Summoning Spear. Were a lot of Death Speaker lists, so we'll go to avatars, see what the most popular avatar is. Sorcerer and Death Speaker, top of the list. Sorcerer, the card draw late game after turn 5 or 6. Seen here, Sorcerer and Death Speaker being the top of the 2, pretty unsurprising. Sorcerer's card draw late game is matched by no other avatar. Death Speaker's flexibility and card advantage of playing ETB minions from the graveyard kind of goes hand in hand with the Sorcerer card advantage. Over here on the top 8, Death Speaker, four decks were made it to the top 8. Pathfinder with 2, Avatar of Air, and Sorcerer with just the 1. And the Sorcerer deck did end up winning the event, so take that for what it is. Avatar of Air and Avatar of Fire and Water. No decks submitted for that. Makes sense. Probably the 2 weakest of the alpha precons. Avatar of Earth, there were 5 decks, and Pathfinder's 8. Moving on to Magic. Top card in the popular were Lightning Bolt, Blink, Bury, Common Sense. These are all solid removal spells. In the top 8, Bury, Firebolt's Common Sense, very similar to the top 8, or the general popular cards. Moving on to most popular minions, Root Spider, Grandmaster Wizard, Highland Princess, the Princess Wizard, Violent. Solid cards there. Earth, Air, Fire, or Air, Earth, Fire is just the top 3. I think you can't go wrong with those 3 elements. Moving into water, you need a specific game plan and or reason to be in water. Moving on here to sites, like I said before, the towers, nothing beats their ramp. Pillars of Zeros being the most popular unique site is very interesting. Probably it's very good against Death Speaker and turning off their graveyard. Right now in Sorcery there is not a whole lot of graveyard hate, so this makes a lot of sense. Moving on here to the most popular ordinary cards, Lightning Bolt, Blink, Bury, and Bury, Firebolt's Common Sense on the top 8. Moving on here to the most common exceptional card, Root Spires, Unicorns, Pudge Bushers, Divine Healings, Hippogriffs, mostly Root Spires and Unicorns for the Earth deck. Anything that's running Earth probably wants Spiders. It just makes a lot of sense. In the top 8, Summoning Sphere, Death Speaker, Root Spiders, and Colorism Kobolds. Kobolds striking for 2 and maybe removing a 2-power minion. The next turn, if you set it up correctly, swinging for 2 on a site and then striking the enemy's avatar for 4. You're above rate with the 3 cost it is, and you're dealing 4 damage. Moving on to elites. Most popular elite being Earthquake and Grandmaster Wizard and Infiltrate. All make sense. Earthquake being the most popular elite is a premium removal spell, hitting 4 sites at most, and being able to play this on turn 4 with a tower allows it to be a board wipe at only 5 mana, and your opponent will only have 4 or 5 sites out, so it's really hard to play around Earthquake with only 4 or 5 sites. Unless you're playing wide, it's gonna be a devastating turn. Grandmaster Wizard for that card draw. Infiltrate is a huge tempo swing, and just removing a blocker at minimum is really good. Moving on here to the most popular unique cards, Philosopher's Stone, Cores, Of course, they were going to be up here, but Highland Princess is right there with the cores just because it equals a core, and Death Dealer and Grim Reaper are very good uniques as well. An interesting one here is 7 League Boots. With the new rule change of defense is as long as you have the movement to get there. Maybe 7 League Boots is a little more popular than it was in the past. Over here on the top 8, Stone, Death Dealer, Core, Princess. The stones and cores prove their worth. And I'd like to thank everybody for taking their time to watch my videos. I've had a lot of fun in recording and posting the videos, and thank you for everybody's pointing out the little errors in ruling and or decisions. Really appreciate it. It's helped me improve a lot. If there's any index you'd like me to see or like to see played in the future, leave a comment. I love to see what people are thinking. And then coming up on the channel, I'm going to be playing through the top 8 decks. So I'll start with the 8th place deck and work my way up to the 1st place deck. Let Sleeping Giants Lie. Thank you, everybody. See you around.